Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Ron Jeremy. What do they all have in common? A huge ego. Just kidding. 2 out of 3 of them are ultra high performing developers. According to the power law theory, which states that certain actions produce exponentially more results than others, even the former chief technology officer Nathan Myhrvold said the top software developers are more productive than average software developers, not by a factor of 10x or 100x or even 1,000x, but by 10,000x. Average developers fight for scraps at the bottom, compete for the lowest paying jobs, and are afraid of being fired at a moment's notice. Now, on the other hand, with ultra high performing developers, they command respect, they leave a legacy, and they actually go on to change the world. So what's the difference between an ultra high performing developer versus an average developer? All right, so how can you avoid being an average developer and actually become an ultra high performing developer in 3 easy steps? Step number 1, smash that like button to actually help us beat that YouTube algorithm. Step number 2, I'm sorry, the last step was not true. And step number 3, there are no easy steps. In all seriousness, we need to go deep to uncover the actual truth of how you can actually become an ultra high performing developer and think like a billionaire developer. And we're gonna actually cover that in this video. So let's go. So a lot of this video is actually inspired by Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. I highly recommend that you actually go and read that book. And in that book, he says there are 2 things that make somebody who's successful. And number 1, they're extremely good at what they do. And number 2, they produce at a very high level. So I'm gonna be uncovering a lot of that in this video too, and we're gonna be deep diving. So if you have pen, paper, like make sure you take notes because there's gonna be a lot of value that I'm gonna drop in this. Like there are a lot of developers out there, right? And what's the difference if you actually dissected it, right? And you look at majority of the developers that are making $30, $40, $50,000 a year and they're not so good at what they do and they're just kind of mediocre. What is the difference between them and then the difference between the developers who are making over $100,000 a year? Or if you take it to a step above, the billionaire developers that are running these big SaaS companies and started these softwares as a service agencies or software as a service companies and are just massive, right? What is going on there? What are the differences? I'll give you an example of somebody. So this person is not really a developer, but kind of a developer, a data analyst. His name is Nate Silver. He is the poster child of statisticians. So he's essentially, think of him like the modern day Sherlock Holmes. And he makes predictions on, who's gonna win the election or who's gonna win this baseball tournament or how is somebody gonna perform based on, given their historical data, how does that map to the future reality? And he actually uses the skill of being a statistician, like the technical skills, to produce then in real life. So 1, if we break down why Nate Silver is so popular, has a personal brand, is extremely successful, and probably makes over millions of dollars a year, because 1, he's damn good at what he does. He's extremely good. And number 2, if you look deep, Nate Silver produces at a massively high level. So how does that translate into being a developer? 1, you have to put in extreme amounts of hours and time to actually get good. And then when you're good, it doesn't matter if there's a quarantine outside or the whole world is falling apart. When you're good, you're in the job market. When you're good, you thrive. When you're not good, you're worried about survival. And that's why majority of the people, and maybe even you, are actually struggling because you're probably just not good. All right. And when you have to think about, are you good? You're probably not. And it requires you to put in massive amounts of time to get really good. Right? So 1, become an extremely good developer by putting in, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Step number 2, how you get really those amazing results is be like Nate Silver and produce. So what does production look like for a developer? It means you're making a lot of Git commits on a daily basis. You're pushing out code onto GitHub. You are producing. When somebody looks at your GitHub map and they look at your recent activity, they should keep seeing these like green dots everywhere to know that you're active, okay? And pushing out code on a daily basis and having that level of production is what will make the difference. Because there are tons of developers that are actually creating stuff, but it only just sits on their computer. It just solves this little coding challenge. But are you actually making projects or apps or things that you're constantly producing? And if you increase your level of production, you will become a highly sought after developer. And you can use that to leverage it into a personal brand, or you could use that to get a high paying job because you're producing so much and people can see that. And as we start to head towards 2030, where a lot of things are going to be automated by robots, and we're going to have AI be such a fundamental part of the world, a lot of things are going to turn into AI. And as we went from like the farming and agriculture age, and as we were transitioning, look at the fact that the need for the knowledge-based workers is so high and skyrocketing. And that's what Cal Newport in the book Deep Work hits home on too, which is there is a massive need for knowledge-based workers. And knowledge-based workers is not very tangible. They're not at a factory producing stuff. A lot of it is thought and deep thought. So how do you actually tap into that deep thought? I want to dive a little bit more into as well in this video. And what you want to do to be able to have that is make sure on a daily basis you have certain hour blocks, like 3 to 5 or 6 hours of undisturbed time blocks where you can actually focus on just coding, where you can just focus on developing something or working on a project or following a tutorial. That is where you will become extremely good. And that is what will make you that knowledge-based worker that a lot of people in today's age are actually looking for. That's what makes you invaluable. That means you are spending an extreme amount of time learning and then applying that learning and building things using that. If you can get that skill down of learning and applying and making applications or doing something with your code, you're gonna have a big step up on most of the developers in the world. Now let's go deep into and dissect a specific developer that was huge and really like changed the world in a really big way. And we will take a look at Bill Joy. So one thing you want to do is study the greats, study the people who became billionaires as developers or massively successful as developers, and try to understand what made them that good, because remember, success leaves clues. So Bill Joy, he's the author of the V text editor or Vim, and the founder of, I believe, Sun Microsystems, so a lot of the Java world. He was 1000x more productive than an average developer. Now, the few key components that made him very interesting, and a lot of these billionaire developers had when I started deep diving into them, is that they have the ability to touch type, meaning typing on a keyboard and with your fingers in the right place. And they actually touch type, and they are unusually fast with their speed of writing code. Now, when I looked and thought about it, why this would be really helpful, and I've talked about it in videos as well, learning just comes down to how quickly can you do trial and error. That's what a lot of what learning is about. And so if you actually type fast, you can make errors a lot quicker and then learn from them. This is just a very crude example, but let's say you type twice as fast as somebody, then in a way, in 1 year, the learning you will make, that person will make in 2 years. Here's another characteristic about these billionaire developers or these ultra high performing developers: a deep consuming passion for software. And I'm actually reading it right off of the wiki that I've linked below in the video. And this is such that they think about it and dream about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not just 9 to 5. This often leads to programming nights and weekends, but that's a side effect, not a cause. And what this reminds me of is we have a student in our Profitable Shortcut in our 3-month online coding bootcamp in our coaching program. So we have a student, his name is Ryan Brook, and he fits this criteria so damn well. Even when he became our client and joined the program, I remember he was so passionate about software development, and every time he's on the calls, he's just crazy about the actual coding of it, and he tells me he can never stop learning. And to our clients, we give them access to message us on our phones too. So he would reach out to me sometimes at like night, like 11 p.m. or I even remember I would get some text, I think like as late as 3 a.m. in the morning, and he would be like, hey, I just finished module 4, module 5, and I'm just like eating this up. And he is a person who seems like a genius to me. He's almost like a savant where he's just so damn fast, but it's because he has a burning desire, and all the time he's talking about coding, doing coding, or thinking about coding. Here's another characteristic: a burning desire to learn the best of what everyone else in the field is doing. They keep learning beyond what may be required for the job/degree, and they find others' work of interest, so they don't have extreme attitude to be uninterested in finding out what others are doing. So that's really interesting to read that. They take interest in other people's work, aka these people are actually working on open source projects. So maybe start thinking about, hey, maybe I need to look into doing open source coding projects, because that is me taking interest in other people's work and me just being interested in the field of programming. And open source projects and having them on your portfolio is one of the best ways to also get hired, because that's what people are looking for. Are you actually caring about other people, and what are you doing? Another key point here is they keep learning beyond what may be required for the job and degree. So many people I look at in the coding world, and they only want to do what's in that job or that degree, and that is it. That's where they start and that's where it ends for them. That is a massive mistake. I think that one of the key things that helped me grow so fast in coding and get so good in a short period of time is because I always wanted to learn beyond what was required. And I never thought, when I even was going to college, I thought about the college part of it just being supplemental. I thought about it like, hey, I already have these amazing learning resources, so I would use resources like Udacity, Coursera, edX, Team Treehouse, Codecademy, and then I thought of college as it's just one extra resource, not my only resource, just one extra resource for learning. So then I had 6 streams of learning, and I always thought about how can I build projects or apps that were outside of the school world, that were just not theory. I could actually use it in real life somewhere. Here's another interesting fact about these developers: enough self-confidence, probably even arrogance, so as to be unafraid to experiment and make mistakes and to try things that no one has ever done, even if it contradicts established wisdom. So when I think about Linus Torvalds or Larry Page or, Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, I mean, they had a lot of self-confidence, extreme amounts of self-confidence. And when you listen to Linus Torvalds, I mean, that actually does seem very arrogant, right? He does seem very he seems very condescending even, to the point of delusion. So probably don't take the part about becoming arrogant from it, but take the part away of becoming and having that high level of confidence. And that's truly what gives them the ability to go out there and make mistakes fast, produce products, produce an app that they built fast, test it in the market, and then if it fails, bring it back and then try version 2, then try version 3, then try version 4, right? And then they're thinking about how can they sell that app for like $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month, or how can they grow it to multi-million-dollar or even $1 billion business in the future. And another interesting thing that they have in common is a flexible attitude / personal philosophy, allowing them to pursue what pragmatically works beyond the boundaries of rigid ideology. People at the other extreme will spend years finding ways to instead work within those boundaries, which may yield a bigger eventual payoff, but hinders average productivity dramatically over both the short and long term. So here they are talking about having an open and flexible mindset to get out of that rigid ideology. And I see a lot of developers doing that. They'll just be like, no, this is the framework we use. This is the technology that we use, and there's no other way. And they just get stuck. But like a fast developer is thinking, he's like, hey, maybe why don't we just try Gatsby? I learned that there's a new framework and you can have pages load up in microseconds. Pages load up so fast using Gatsby.js that it doesn't even refresh when you actually click it. It's just instant, almost like the page is cached. Now, one developer who's thinking in the rigid ideology will probably not think of that solution, whereas the other developer probably spent a lot of time and now outside of the box came up with this brilliant solution that actually just beats everything, but it requires them to think outside of the box. And so with these developers, they don't really conform to that ideology, and they don't mean to be just within the boundaries, they will brutally think about what is truly the best way to do something and the most effective and efficient way to do something. So for you, after reading about all of this, for you, here are the main things I want you to focus on and learn from this and actually apply. One, I want you to focus on having hours of focused and distraction-free work time when it comes to coding. This means you are learning about coding. You mean watching tutorials and following along. You are reading the source code of other people's projects and learning through reading code. Or three, this means you just actually sitting there and actually coding, building an application, doing something from scratch. So have hours of just uninterrupted time for that. So then you need to focus on the second most important thing, right? One is you increasing your skill set, and the second is actually production. So in production, what you want to be doing is, are you actually creating a project at the end of the day? Are you actually pushing out the code and making Git commits? Can people see what you're up to? Are you writing a blog post on what you've created or a YouTube video that talks about what you've created? That also falls in production. Anything that is creation, anything that other people can either see, interact, or use, I call that production. That is where your big wins are. That is it for this video. I want to know your guys' thoughts on, I want to do a series on billionaire developers. So then, for example, you know, it's like called the Billionaire Developer Series, and then we have Mark Zuckerberg, and basically I just like do a profile breakdown of like what technologies he learned, you know, when he actually like coded the Facebook application, what stacks did he use to do it, kind of just like the overall breakdown. And then hopefully my goal from that is, one, it's extremely entertaining. Two, you actually can see how these billionaire developers thought and have a deeper look, and then use the lessons from that into your own life and integrate it. So let me know if you would like that series. If you would, please just drop a comment below, because, you know, a thoughtful comment below, because it allows me to look at it and kind of engage with you and see if you're actually interested in it or not. Because if you're not, then I don't want to make it, but if you are, then I want to go all in. So that, and then the other thing is we're doing a epic challenge for JavaScript, and the winner gets a $6,000 online coding bootcamp. It starts April 6th. So if you haven't missed the boat, make sure you click the link in the description below and jump in that challenge. That challenge is going to freaking change your life. It is a 6-figure JavaScript developer challenge. It's 5 days long, and it's really designed to help you kickstart your career in 5 days as a developer, and it's completely free. So make sure that you click the link in the description below, sign up for the challenge, because I want to see your beautiful face on April 6th. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. As always, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. And that's it. I love your face, and I'll see you in the next video.